terms and the titles, I think understanding the titles and their potential translations gives us a really good inroad as to what we are using the breathing technique for, so how the pranayama fits into our personal practice or that of our students. So Samavritti. So Sama, in the context that we're using it, Sama could be seen as a smoothing out, like an evening out. If you imagine like a quilt cover and a rippled quilt cover, to smooth it out, Sama would be to kind of get your arm and, you know, smooth up the waves of the quilt cover so it's all nice and neat and smooth down. And then we can kind of use that same idea with the second term, vritti. So vritti, again, within the Sanskrit language, can have many different translations. But in this context, the vrittis are the energies or the movement of the mind. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he names 5 of those, if you can remember. So memory, imagination, ignorance or misunderstanding perceptions of the world, right perception of the world. And then he also mentions nidra, so the different stages of sleep or conscious sleep. So here, samavritti is the smoothing out of all of that movement of the mind, the whirlpool of the mind, the thoughts that incessantly drop in and out, the instability of our emotions. Now there's 2 different traditions that I'm going to teach you here. The first is where we use the 2 components of breath, inhale and exhale, and we quite simply use an internal count and we balance inhale and exhale. So if your inhale's a count of 4, then your exhale's a count of 4. If your inhale's a count of 5, your exhale's a count of 5. The second variation is something that's become very popular within modern breathwork practices and fields that have kind of sprouted off from yoga. So well-being fields and health coach fields, and even actually medical professionals have used this technique. So in the modern world, you're often going to hear it called as box breathing. And in this variation, we balance the 4 components of breath. Inhale, the first hold after we're fully inflated, the exhale, and then the second hold after we have fully released all the air. So this is where Kumbhaka comes in, Kumbhaka Antara and Kumbhaka Baya. So in this instance, if we was to inhale for a count of 4, we would inhale 4, hold the breath inside the body, count of 4, exhale, count of 4, hold the breath outside the body for a count of 4. So both of them, the smoothing out of the mind, they're doing that by means of balancing your energy. So you're not being dominated by the inhale and the exhale. Now this is really important. Just physiologically, there's a phenomena that we can actually look to say, there's real good scientific evidence of this physiology change that it brings us into this state of balance. And that's an understanding of the heart. We have a kind of collection of neurons within the heart, and they are what we actually call the pacemaker. And that connects to your brain, which connects to your nervous system, and it sends little electrical signals up to your brain with each inhale and each exhale. On the inhale, as the volume of the heart changes, the electrical signals of this collection of neurons send a signal to the brain and say, speed everything up. And when we exhale, the opposite happens. These neurons send a message to the brain and say, slow everything down. So if the inhale dominates, then we're more hyped up. If the exhale dominates, we're calmer. So samavritti, as we've just said with the 2 traditions, is balancing the 2. So as a neurophysiological experience, you actually are bringing yourself into balance energetically. You're coming into that state of homeostasis. And that can simply happen from balancing your inhale and your exhale, or the 4 components of breath. So our setup is very similar to how we normally would practice. We can come into a nice, comfortable seated position. This is one of the breathing techniques that actually can be practiced lay down. It's an incredible breathing technique, particularly for those newer students. I mean, everyone will get benefit from this, and it's actually one of the breathing techniques I probably practice the most. But newer students in particular will receive great benefit from this. And so you can practice this lay down. This is the technique. Once we're nice and comfortable, shoulders are nice and relaxed, the lips are sealed, we breathe consciously through the nose, and we use that internal count. So it's first of all to balance the inhale and the exhale, tradition 1. Blow the air away or the breath away. And then together we breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just pause for a moment, let the breath be suspended, relax the shoulders, let the heart rise. Blink your eyes open. Now, often this breathing technique is taught as a progressive breathing technique, a developmental breathing technique. By that I mean that the length of breath, the duration of the breath begins to increase with every passing wave. So maybe every 5 breaths or every minute of breath. So it might start with an inhale 4, exhale 4. Then you will be able to step your students or yourself up to an inhale 5, exhale 5. And then 6, 6, and 7, 7, and 8, 8, and 9, 9. And I was taught from my teacher to work all the way up to 10, 10. So inhale for a count of 10, exhale for a count of 10. Now that's incredibly challenging to do unless you have taught your student or you've learnt yourself the correct mechanics of breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing and the right mechanics of breathing and the coordination between the abdominal wall, the accessory muscles and your diaphragm are incredibly important for all breathing techniques, but particularly Samavriti. So if you're unsure of that, please go back to the video where we really delve into the mechanics of it, work on those mechanics, and then use the correct technique of breathing to practice Samavriti. Let's come to the second tradition. This is where we bring in Kumbhaka, so the breath retention on the inhale and the exhale. Again, we'll practice as a count of 4. So sitting or lying comfortably, eyes closed, shoulders relax, heart rises, head ever so slightly dips and bows. Let the breath go. And then together, let's inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Just let the breath count go. Relax the shoulders, heart rises, eyes can blink open. So again, this can also be a developmental or a progressive breath. So either yourself or once your students start to feel comfortable with the volume of breath that they are taking, we will walk up to a count of 5 and a count of 6 and a count of 7 and so on. Just bear in mind that they're very challenging breaths. Once you walk up beyond a count of 5, I would say for both traditions, it's very challenging for people. 1, for lung capacity, and 2, to really keep the mind focused. So again, this is a breath technique. As with all the pranayamas, it needs to become part of you. To truly understand it and truly teach it and truly experience it, you need to practice it on a daily basis. For me, it's one of the most powerful breathing techniques because it's incredibly simple and it's one that brings us into that incredibly important state of homeostasis, the peaceful state, the state that yoga tradition is trying to remind us is our true essence, peace and harmony.